showing you how to make your own scented bath salts. The first thing you need for this project is salt. I'm going to be using coarse sea salt, but you can also use Epsom salts, fine salts, French salts, whatever you like. So I'll take half a cup of the salt. With my handy little paper funnel, I'm going to be adding it to my mixing container. The next thing I'm going to use is soluble dextrose. This is a fine powder that will help extend the scent of your finished product. So I'm going to mix that in real thoroughly. The next item is sweet almond oil. This is going to give your salt some more of a moisturizing quality. I'm not going to add very much, just a 1/4 teaspoon here. And I'll mix it again real thoroughly so the oil is coating each grain of salt. Okay, that's mixed real well. Now comes the really fun part, which is adding color and fragrance. Now you want to be sure to use color and fragrance that are cosmetic safe, or essential oils, which most of them are safe to use for skin, but you'll want to make sure. All of Glory Bee's fragrance oils are skin safe. Okay, so today I'm going to be making sweet orange bath salts. So I'm going to be using sweet orange essential oil, and this is one that is fine for skin. So I'm just going to add maybe 5 or 6 drops or so, just a little bit to start with. And I'll mix that in real thoroughly. I'll give it a little sniff to see if it smells right. And it smells like a nice ripe orange. So I'll stop with the fragrance oil. Now the orange color I'm going to get from the School Days Orange Gel Tone. And again, I'll start with just a few drops, maybe 5 or 6. I'll mix it real thoroughly again. The gel tone tends to clump up a little bit in bath salts, but if you just keep mixing it, it will eventually disperse throughout the salts. And this is a little paler than I would like it to be, so I'm going to add a little more colorant. That's the beauty of this project. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you can just make it exactly how you want. Okay, now that it's mixed real thoroughly, we're ready to package it. So I'm going to take my paper funnel again and a little 4.5 ounce hex jar. I'm just going to shake it in there until the jar is full. And voila, you've got a nice little jar of sweet orange bath salts ready for you to label, put a ribbon on, or however you want to present it as a gift. You can also make this project using sweet pea fragrance oil and Perfection Pink Gel Tone to make sweet pea bath salts. Or you can make fresh cut grass bath salts with Clean Your Room Green Gel Tone and fresh cut grass fragrance. Or in keeping with this spring theme we've got going here, you can make lilac bath salts with lilac fragrance oil and popsicle purple gel tone. Thanks for joining us on this episode of DIY Bath, Body, and Home, and we'll see you next time. Hi, and welcome back to DIY Bath, Body, and Home. In this episode, I'll be showing you how to make your own natural lip balm. The first thing you want to do for this project is prepare your containers. You have a couple of different options. You can do these little pots that have a screw-on lid. They're the kind that you just stick your finger in to get the lip balm out. Or you can use these clear tubes. The best way to fill these tubes is with one of these lip balm filling trays. It's a lifesaver because it's a lot easier than trying to hold one little tube steady while you pour the lip balm into it. So you just take the tube, stick it into the tray, and then you'll be flipping the tray over like this, and pouring the lip balm in here. It really helps you avoid spilling, because if you spill any, it's just going to go on the tray and not drip down your tube, which you would have to clear off later. The first ingredient, and probably the most important for this project, is beeswax. This recipe calls for 1 ounce of beeswax, and Glory Bee just happens to sell a handy little 1 ounce bar. It does take about 10 or 15 minutes for beeswax to melt in a double boiler, so I've gotten a head start here. Now, in the true DIY spirit, I use a Pyrex glass container and a canning jar lid to lift the Pyrex up off the bottom of the pot. You really want to make sure and melt beeswax in a double boiler and not the microwave, because it'll heat the beeswax unevenly and it might cause it to splatter over your microwave, and then you will just throw away your microwave because it's impossible to clean off the sides. So a double boiler is a great idea. You want to melt the beeswax at about a medium heat. So the next ingredient you want to add is sweet almond oil. You're going to be adding 1/2 cup. And as you can see, the temperature of the sweet almond oil caused the melted beeswax to seize up a little bit, so we're going to have to wait for that to melt. Okay, now the beeswax and sweet almond oil have heated up and you've got a nice clear liquid. So the next step is to remove the mixture from the heat. And we'll add the rest of the ingredients. We're going to be putting in a 1/4 teaspoon of aloe vera concentrate, which will help your chapstick be a little more moisturizing. So we'll mix that in. The next ingredient is vitamin E oil, and we'll add a 1/2 teaspoon of that. Again, this will add more moisturizing. And the final touch is peppermint essential oil. It'll give your lip balm that little extra zing, and we'll be adding a 1/2 teaspoon of that. So you're just going to mix everything thoroughly. And now it's time to fill our containers. As you can see, I'm making a few spills here, but at least they're not getting all over the lip balm tube. Once you fill all your containers, you'll just wait for them to cool, and then I'll show you how to package them. Okay, now that your lip balm has cooled, it'll be this nice creamy white color. You can take the tube and just put the little lid it comes with on there, and you're ready to go. Glory Bee sells some little lip balm shrink bands. It's just a little sleeve of plastic that you slip around the tube, and you can use a blow dryer to make it shrink, and it looks really professional. The jars, you do the same thing, just put the lid on. My favorite way to decorate these is with these cute little pressed flower stickers. Oops. See? Or for St. Patrick's Day, and there you go, all done. Thanks very much for joining us on this episode of DIY Bath, Body, and Home, and we'll see you next time. Hi, and welcome back to DIY Bath, Body, and Home. In this episode, I'll be showing you how to make rolled beeswax candles. The first thing you need for this project is a beeswax sheet. Now this size of sheet will make 2 regular taper size candles or 1 thicker candle. So the first thing you want to do to make 2 taper candles is fold the sheet in half, press down on the crease, Then you can kind of wiggle it back and forth a couple times. And that makes a nice way for you to rip it in half. So for your first candle, you're going to lay the sheet down flat. You'll want to put the ragged edge on the inside. Then you're going to take a piece of this 15 ply flat braid wicking. You'll be cutting a piece just a little bit longer than your candle's going to be. So just leave a little extra room there. So the most important thing for this candle is that it's rolled tightly and that the wick is rolled up real tightly inside it. So the first thing I like to do is press the wick down onto the wax. That just helps it stick so you can start rolling well. Just press it down in there. Okay, so to get a good tight roll started, you'll just be folding the edges of the wax over onto the wick. And if it kind of crumbles a little bit, that's okay. Just as long as you get it wrapped real securely around that wick. If you start realizing that your sheet of beeswax is really brittle, like maybe you're in a cold room or the beeswax has been stored somewhere cold, you can take a blow dryer and just really lightly wave the blow dryer over the sheet of beeswax. Just like that. You don't want to melt the beeswax. Another thing that happens sometimes with beeswax is it develops a white film called bloom, and that's natural to happen to beeswax, but heat will take care of that. So once you've got the wick securely wrapped up in the wax, just keep rolling. Just make sure it's all even and that you're wrapping very tightly. This is a great project to do with children. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I remember doing this in kindergarten class myself. So once you get it going, it's a little easier to start rolling. Once you've got the whole candle rolled, you can just kind of press the edge of the wax. Now the wax is a little bit cold, so I'm just going to run my blow dryer over this for a few seconds. And that warmed it up just enough for me to be able to press the edge down into the candle. And you've got your first rolled beeswax candle. Now I think it's nice to give these or sell these in pairs, so I'm going to make another one to go with it. Okay, so now I have a pair of beautiful natural beeswax candles. I think a great way to present these is to tie a pair together with a ribbon. This is an especially nice thing to give at Christmas, but be sure to tell your friends to actually burn the candles. Don't just save them, because as you can see, it's very easy for you to make more. Now you can make these candles in various shapes and colors, as you can see here. So really there's no limit to what you can do. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of DIY Bath, Body, and Home, and we'll see you next time. Hi, and welcome back to DIY Bath, Body, and Home. Today I'll be showing you how to make your own aromatherapy hand soap. This is one of the most easy projects you can make. The first thing you need for the project is some unscented liquid soap base. The pump bottle I'm going to use holds 16 ounces. So I will pour 16 ounces of the liquid soap base into my mixing container. And this product is basically a finished soap already, but it doesn't smell like anything. so it's all ready for you to add your favorite essential oils to. The aromatherapy blend I'm making today is a citrus blend, so I'm using 4 different citrus type scents. The first one I'm going to use is bergamot. I'll use 1/2 teaspoon. There's the bergamot. The bergamot has kind of a lower note, more earthy type citrus smell, so it'll kind of ground the rest of the high citrus notes. The next one I'm going to add is lemon. And I'll be adding 1/4 teaspoon of this one. Our next citrus note is grapefruit. And I'll add 1/4 teaspoon of that as well. And our final piece of the citrus puzzle is sweet orange. And I'll add 1/4 teaspoon of that. Now the reason this project is so easy is because that is all there is to it. You just want to mix the essential oils real thoroughly into the soap base. And then you'll carefully pour it into your container. Now that you have your container filled, it's time to add some embellishment. I like to save just little scraps of this and that for decorating. So this is just an idea. Wrap a little bit of lace and fasten it with these silk flowers. And you're ready to give your soap as a gift or just enjoy it in your own bathroom. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of DIY Bath, Body, and Home, and we'll see you next time. Hi, and welcome back to DIY Bath, Body, and Home. In this episode, I'll be showing you how to make your own bath tea. Now that's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's a big tea bag you put in the bath that has aromatherapy and skin soothing qualities. The first thing you're going to put in this project is a little bit of coarse sea salt. I'm going to take 1/4 cup of the salt. Then I'm going to add just a few drops of lavender essential oil. You can use any essential oil you like as long as it's skin safe, but this blend is going to be lavender rose. So I'm just going to mix the salt with the lavender essential oil so the oil gets all over the salt. Then I'm going to add 1 ounce of dried lavender flowers. And the last ingredient is 1 ounce of dried whole rosebuds. You mix these ingredients together. The reason I put the lavender oil in the bath salts is because it helps the lavender really cling to an ingredient without making the flowers soggy. Once I've got everything mixed together, I'm going to put the bath tea in one of these muslin bags. I'll use a funnel to help me avoid spills. You might want to get someone to help you so you don't spill it all over. And you want to fill your bag about half full. The flowers will expand when they get wet, so you want to leave a little bit of extra room. And there you go. It's a bath tea bag ready for you to use or give as a gift. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of DIY Bath, Body, and Home, and we'll see you next time. Hi, and welcome back to DIY Bath, Body, and Home. In this episode, I'll be showing you how to make your own fizzing bath bombs. I was just so excited when I learned how to make these because they're so much cheaper than the store-bought kind, and they're just very easy to make, surprisingly so. So the first ingredient you need is 2 cups of baking soda. So 2 cups of that. The next ingredient will be 2/3 cup of citric acid. That's what causes the fizzing in these. So I've got the citric acid. The next ingredient is soluble dextrose. That's kind of a fragrance fixative that'll make your fragrance last longer. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons. And I'll just mix this up real well. Make sure you break up any solid chunks you see there. Okay, so this is the dry ingredients phase of this project. Next, you're going to mix up your liquid ingredients. The first liquid ingredient is going to be 5 tablespoons of sweet almond oil. This way your bath bombs not only fizz, but they're moisturizing too. The next liquid ingredient will be your colorant. I'm using Popsicle Purple Gel Tone. Gel tones are mostly natural colorant. They're made with mineral micas as well as a few other ingredients. So I'll just add a few drops here. Basically, you can color it however much you want. It's totally up to you. So the gel tone isn't completely oil soluble, but it'll mix in later when you mix your liquid ingredients with your dry. The next thing I'm going to add is my essential oils. I'm going to do an herbal blend of rosemary and lavender. So I'll add a teaspoon of each of these. That is just a nice, refreshing herbal smell coming out of that mixture. Okay, so you've mixed your dry ingredients and your liquid ingredients. You're going to mix them together now, and you want to do it real quickly so that the dry ingredients don't start to fizz. So just pour them in there, and then just use your hands to just dig in there, mix them up. You just want to make sure all the dry ingredients get wet with the oil. Just keep working your hands through, breaking up any chunks, making sure it's all about the same consistency. As you can see, the amount of colorant I used didn't do a whole lot, so it's just got kind of a light lavender tinge. If you want more color, just add more colorant. And you want to get it to about this consistency where you can see if I take a handful and squeeze it, it stays in about the same shape. Okay, once you've got it all mixed, you're gonna come over here. I've got this scalloped metal mold, and I've pre-oiled it with the sweet almond oil, just like you would a muffin pan. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my mixture, press it just real firmly, pack it in there, about halfway full, so you can get it smashed down real compactly. Then fill it the rest of the way up, just pushing down as hard as you can. Then you do the same thing until you've used up all of your mixture. Okay, now that you've put all your mixture into your mold, and you've made sure it's packed down real compactly, you're just gonna flip it over and bang it real hard onto this cookie sheet with wax paper. You can see that you've just put all of your... See, some of them have crumbled a little bit, so you can push them together, or if you want to just start over, you can put them back in the mold. But if you just kind of push them together, fill in the cracks with your hands, once they harden, they'll just seal up those cracks and it'll be fine. It takes about 48 hours for these to completely harden, so you want to put them just on top of your refrigerator or somewhere out of reach, and then you'll be able to package them. I like to use Glory Bee's shrink bags. I put the two halves together to make a round ball, put them in a shrink bag and just heat it real quick with the blow dryer, and it makes a real nice way to package it. Just to show you how these are gonna work, I'm just gonna put some of this in the water. That's what'll happen in your bathtub. It'll release the nice fragrance of the rosemary and lavender and soothe your skin at the same time. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of DIY Bath, Body, and Home, and we'll see you next time.